Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
The last episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, on the last evening of classic radio. This episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Mandel Kramer, was originally broadcast September 30th, 1962.
Johnny Dollar.
Johnny, this is George Hardy at Northeast Indemnity Association.
Yes, George.
Got a pencil and piece of paper?
Sure.
Then write this down.
Go ahead.
130-07-0583.
Got it. So?
He wants to see you.
Who does?
130-07-0583 at State Prison.
Oh. You know his name, George?
No, but if it's who I think it is, well, Johnny, you just might find yourself going to the commission on $100,000.
The CBS Radio Network brings you Mandel Kramer in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator,
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Northeast Indemnity Association, Home Office, Hartford, Connecticut. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the tip-off matter. Expense account item 1 is $4.60 for a tank full of gas, despite the fact that the state pen is only a few miles south in Weathersfield, a town with a population of about 20,000, where the father of our country once planned the historic Battle of Yorktown. In other words, George Washington slept there. An assistant warden led me not to one of the cell blocks, but to a screened-off corner in a hospital ward. The man who lay there was in his early 30s, but he looked 100, thin, drawn, emaciated, with the pallor of death on his face. It was a full minute before I recognized him as Turner McGackie, up for safecracking, whom I hadn't seen since the day the judge handed out his term some 10 years before.
Pretty funny, huh, Dollar? I'm due to get out. Instead, I lay here dying.
Oh, now, come on. Who told you that, McGackie?
Now, come on, don't you try and kid me too, Dollar. I ain't got long, and I know it. That's why I had him send for you, see? Maybe you can stop a killing, Dollar.
A killing?
Yeah, from that safe job that got me in here.
That was 10 years ago.
Only they never found the loot from it, did they?
Oh, I see. And you know where it is, Mac?
Look, this ain't easy, Dollar, me telling this, but you're the only one I got any respect for.
Respect for me? Mac, I was partly responsible for putting you here.
Yeah, sure, Dollar. I hated your guts. Then I did. Only yesterday, the warden, he told me about what you've done for Tommy, my kid brother. About the home and foster folks you got for him. About your seeing he'd get educated. Like the way that I never did.
He was a nice kid, McGackie.
So because of you, the kid has a chance to play it straight. Get somewhere.
I think he will, too. He doesn't know about me. He didn't know I was there, Mac.
There?
Yeah. I stood in the crowd and I watched him graduate from high school. with honors. You'd have been proud of him, Mac.
Yeah. Proud. And all on account of you give him what I couldn't never give him.
Tommy deserved a chance like any other kid. That's all.
Yeah, but the way you done it. You're letting them think I'd been killed. Some kind of an accident. You're never letting them know about my record. What I really was. Now he's got no spots on him. He's got nothing to live down to make him ashamed. And all this time I didn't know about what you've done for him. I just kept hating you. But I didn't know.
Look, Mac, that's all water under the bridge now.
So now I'm gonna make up to you, dollar.
There's no need to, Mac. Look, you're getting tired. I better leave you
but
now.
The loot from that safe job, 100 G's.
Oh?
So, listen. While I can... Listen. Real careful. Real careful, dollar.
He told me then about Joe Pirelli, an old crony of his. Pirelli, now posing as a fisherman, living in Mac's old cottage on Peconic Bay, Long Island, near the town of Cutchogue. He told me about a safe in the cellar of the cottage, and the fact Pirelli knew only half the combination to it. And the other half? 2 weeks ago, when he'd found out that he was going to die, Mac had given the other half to a crook by the name of Danny Russelloff, who'd pulled the heist with him. He was also there in the pen, who'd not only been a boxman, but a killer. Okay, fine. Except for one thing.
I wouldn't have told Danny. Not if I'd known then about what you done for my brother.
Look, Mac.
But now I do know. So it's you that's gonna have that dough.
No, it'll go to the insurance company, Mac.
Look, if Danny gets to him first, Danny'll kill Pirelli.
Take it easy now. Don't get yourself too excited.
Don't you see, having the whole combination between them? Danny'll get the dough, then he'll kill Pirelli.
Look, if you gave me the combination...
Yeah.
All right, then.
You'll give me your word. You'll protect Pirelli. Kind of his keeping that dough from you all this time.
Mac, I'll do what I can for him. But first, while I'm here at the pen, I better get things straight with Danny Russelloff.
No, Dollar. Danny's getting out of here today.
Getting out? You mean they're releasing him?
Yeah. So you gotta go for that dough and now go see Pirelli.
Okay, Mac. The combination of the safe.
Yeah. But first it's right. Turn it right.
Yeah.
Number. Dollar, I can't breathe.
Mac.
I'm going, Dollar.
Come on, Mac.
Help me.
Orderly.
Help me.
Nurse, get a doctor in here.
By the time the doctor got there, McGackey was dead. I asked the warden about Danny Russelloff then.
Yes, Mr. Dollar, we sent him on his way about an hour ago. And all I can say is good riddance.
Okay. Expense account item 2, $150 for a plane, a charter job. We took off and headed south. How Dick Spidell, the pilot, ever managed to sit down among the sand dunes near Cutchogue in semi-darkness, I'll never know. But after a walk of about a mile, I found a gas station. Item 3, $20 to the gas jockey for the use of his stripped-down vintage car.
Sure, man. You just negotiate that next turn left. You see it down there? And then you swing another left on the sandy road you come to, and you stop when you make the bay. It's a beat-up old shack with a wore-out old pier in front of it.
Okay.
Oh, and if you don't see him around or he don't answer when you knock, go on in anyhow. It's probably because old Pirelli's liquored up like he mostly is and has fell asleep.
All right, thanks.
Oh, and just be sure to get my car back here by midnight when I close up, huh?
Right.
Apologies for the quality of this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, but they didn't really think much about this. In fact, I'll tell you where this came from in a moment. September 30th, 1962, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medishare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for tuning into Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Many old-time radio shows from the 50s and 60s, particularly CBS, still exist because of a gentleman by the name of Pat Rispol, who lived in the area of WROW in Albany, New York. Now, he died at the very young age of 53 in 1979. He made home recordings on reel-to-reel tape in the late 50s and early 60s. They're the reason that many yours truly Johnny Dollar story, Gunsmoke, and suspense shows from that era even survive, because there was very little interest in keeping the shows. It was thanks to these home recordings from Pat Rispol, and we take our hat off to him, that these shows survive. There are many more out there, by the way. We just don't know about them yet, and it's a matter of finding them. They may be lost to the years, or they may turn up at just any time. That's why we stay in touch with so many classic radio collectors who make episodes like this one today. There may even be a better quality edition of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, the final episode, Mandel Kramer as Dollar, September 30th, 1962.
Mike? Pirelli? Anybody here?
Stop knocking down the door. Come on, open.
Okay. All right, Pirelli, Oh.
Yeah.
You got a gun.
Because I've been waiting for you.
You're a lousy shot, Pirelli.
I'll get you. Hey, Danny, I give up. I give up, Danny.
Danny, huh? Is that it waiting for with this gun? Danny Russeloff?
Yeah. I thought... I read Danny was getting out today. Who are you? Who are you, mister?
My name is Dollar. Now sit down over there by that table.
Yeah. Well, what are you doing here?
I've come to pick up some money, Pirelli, $100,000.
No.
From the safe in your cellar.
No, you got no right to that.
I haven't, huh?
You think I didn't know what's in the safe?
I'm sure you did. And it all better be in it now.
That's Max, though. McGackie.
He's dead, Pirelli. Only a couple of hours ago in the prison hospital.
You're lying.
You want to call him up and check on it?
Dead. McGackie's dead, huh?
That's right.
Oh. Now, half of that dough is mine. That's mine, Dollar.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. Dollar, huh? You Johnny Dollar? You're the insurance dick.
That's right. And I'm here to get that money.
No.
I'm also here for another reason.
Yeah? Like what?
To save your worthless carcass if I can. You don't believe that, huh?
I never trust no cop, and you're a cop.
Look, Pirelli, get one thing straight. Personally, I couldn't care less what happens to you. I've got no use for you. A man with a record like you piled up over the years.
Look, I paid for everything I've done. I served time.
For holding on to this hot money? My only reason for trying to keep Danny Russell off from killing you is because I promised McGackey I would.
I can take care of myself.
Like you did when I came barging in here?
Okay, so maybe you...
Look, Danny Russelloff's the killer, and he's got the other half of that safe combination.
What?
Yes, because McGackey gave it to him when he found out he was going to die. And you think Danny couldn't force your half out of you with a gun in your belly? If you refused to help him open that box? And then when he got the dough, he'd kill you.
No, I still wouldn't tell him I had.
He'd kill you anyway and then blow the safe. That used to be his business, so whatever happens, Pirelli, without me, you end up dead.
Dollar, listen.
Now, look, I know it'll mean breaking my word to McGackey, but if that's the way you want it, all I have to do is just sit on the sidelines, wait for Danny to get here, for the safe to be open one way or another, see you get knocked off, and then move in on Danny.
Okay, but maybe I can get him first.
Sure. Go on. Try it. But if you do get lucky, if you do kill him before he kills you, I promise you one thing, Pirelli. I'll see you end up in the chair. Would you like to think about that for a while? Just don't take too long, though, Because I doubt if Danny's going to waste much time getting down here. And if I'm not around when he does get here... Well, Pirelli?
Okay. What do you want me to do?
Got enough food around here to keep us for a couple of days?
Sure, I got plenty.
All right, then I'm moving in. Have you got a phone?
No. Only plenty of food and booze.
I can see that. Is there any other way to get here, Pirelli, besides the road that turns off near the gas station?
Not unless somebody try to get here with one of those helicopters.
All right, then from the gas station, I can tell if somebody's heading in here.
Huh?
I'll see you later. Item 4, back at the gas station, out on the highway, $100 even.
$100? Oh, for that, man, I'll ride a bicycle or borrow my sister's car, and you can keep the old crate.
No, Jimmy, I'll only need it for a day or two, I hope.
All the time you want. And is there anything else I can do, Mr. Dollar?
Just let me have a handful of change to throw at this payphone of yours. Item 5, $3.80 for a call to George Hardy at his home back in Hartford. I gave him the whole story.
Good, Johnny, good. I had a feeling it had to do with that safe-cracking job we had to make good on. Now, how do I contact you down there?
You don't. I'll have to contact you. What are you thinking of?
Well, you said this Danny Russelloff hasn't shown up there yet.
Not yet. Though he's had plenty of time by now.
Maybe Danny's playing it smart now he's on parole.
What do you mean?
Well, he's supposed to report in here in Hartford where he used to live, isn't he?
Probably.
So he'll do that first to give a good impression. Make everybody think he's on the up and up.
Maybe.
And then when he figures nobody's watching him anymore, then he'll make his move, right?
Except that I can't see him wasting any time about getting his hands on the money, or at least making sure it's still here. So, George.
Yes?
Get hold of Pete Larkin.
The private detective.
Yeah, tell him it's from me. Tell him if Danny is there in Hartford to keep an eye on him day and night. And if he leaves town, I want to know it so I can be ready for him.
Okay. And meanwhile, what'll you be doing? Have you called on the police down there?
I don't even know if they have any in this little town. What's more, a couple of cops prowling around would only scare him away, and I want to get him. I'll check back with you 3 or 4 times a day.
Okay. And at least we know where that 100,000 is now.
Do we? Maybe I better get back out to Pirelli and make sure. The safe was still there in Mike Pirelli's cellar, intact. And Mike himself, in the process of getting very, very drunk. But in answer to my question...
Yeah, okay. It's only the last 2 numbers of the combination that I know.
All right, what are they?
It's 2 turns to the right.
2 turns to the right to what number?
It's 81.
2 turns to the right to 81.
Yeah.
And then?
Hey, listen, Dollar.
And then, Mike?
Yeah, then left, left 14.
Then left to 14.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Hey, listen, Dollar, I'm scared now. You got me scared. Give me the...
Here, go ahead. Help yourself. Maybe enough of that stuff will at least keep you... Hold it. Listen.
What?
Hold it. You hear that?
What? Yeah. Hey, it's a car out there.
All right, let me douse these lights. You see it there? You know that car?
No. Hey, but that's him. That's Johnny. Be quiet. He's coming in here to kill me, Dollar.
As the car pulled to a stop, I quietly slipped over to one side of the door and grabbed the knob. I drew my gun and waited. For a long moment, there was no sound out there. Then a car door opening and closing quietly. Then footsteps on the wooden sidewalk. Then as I felt him touch the doorknob, I turned it and swung open the door.
Say, what's the matter, man? What's going on here? Why are you palming that cannon?
Sorry, Jimmy. I was expecting somebody else.
Man, I hope so.
From September 30th, 1962, the final Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story with Mandel Kramer on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Yours Truly Johnny Dollar. September 30th, 1962.
Hey, what happened to him, to old Pirelli?
Oh, well, he...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see the jug now.
Mm-hmm.
Falling down drunk again, huh? Oh, but, here, Mr. Dollar. The reason I stopped by is I forgot to give you this key to the trunk of my car in case you need it.
Oh, okay, Jimmy, thanks.
And, listen, I've been thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Your name is Dollar, huh? Johnny Dollar, that investigator? Man, I think you're the most.
Look, Jimmy, if Johnny Dollar was around here, if he was setting a trap for some crook,
yeah,
and if anybody blabbed about it to anyone, Johnny Dollar might end up very dead. You understand that?
Don't worry. Don't you worry. Just let me know how you make out, will you?
I'll let you know.
Yeah. And thanks. Thanks, Johnny.
Item 6, the next 3 days, $41 for more telephone calls to George Hardy. Yeah, Danny Russelloff was in Hartford, but sitting tight. So maybe George had been right. But how much longer I could keep old Pirelli under the influence without doing him serious harm began to worry me. And I was afraid that if he got sober, he might turn on me. Then the 4th day.
And listen, Johnny. I mean, mister. As soon as you get through making that call, I want to tell you something.
Yeah, okay, Jimmy, sure.
And I hope you haven't been worried about my telling anybody you're here because I haven't told anyone.
Hello?
George?
Johnny Dollar?
Yeah.
Thank goodness you called. When I got back here from lunch, Pete Larkin, that private eye you had me call.
Yes?
Early this morning, Danny Russelloff got away from him.
He did?
Pete's lost him entirely. So, Johnny, if I were you...
Okay, George.
Now, what I was going to tell you...
Jimmy, I'm sorry. I haven't time now.
But about that other car that started down the road...
What?
Well, yeah, down at Pirelli's place.
When?
Well, about an hour ago. But then it came back to the highway.
Did you get the license?
Oh, I didn't get the number. It was Connecticut, though.
All right. Now, after he came back to the highway?
Down that way.
I see. Look, Jimmy, is there another road around here that goes to the bay?
Yeah, the old fishing club below Pirelli's place.
Okay. Here.
Sawbuck?
Yeah.
But why? What did I do?
I'll let you know. I started down the road to Pirelli's. But no, because if it had been Danny, the reason he turned around and come back to the highway was because he'd seen my car there. So instead, I took the road to the fishing club. And there it was, beside the abandoned clubhouse, a rental job with Connecticut plates. Leading away from it were footprints in the sand, leading toward Pirelli's. As I got close to the cottage by crawling on my belly behind the sand dunes, I managed to work my way around to one of the windows. I waited and listened. Not a sound inside. A trap? Maybe so. Maybe Pirelli's still hoping for a crack at the $100,000 and taking a chance at going over to Danny's side. Well, there's only one way to find out. I raised up just enough to look into the room. There on the floor lay Mike Pirelli, dead, a bullet hole in his forehead. So he hadn't told his half of the combination. That meant there was only one way Danny could get the dough out of that safe now. And the door to the cellar was wide open. Yet if I tried to lift the noisy old window and climb in without some other sound to cover, but Danny himself gave me that. By the time the noise of his nitro job on the safe had died away, I was inside the house and halfway down the cellar steps.
All right, Danny, raise them up over your head. Huh? Don't move. Get those hands up high.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, mister?
Well, look, you reach for a gun, Danny, and I'll pull the trigger.
Oh, no, you don't. You see this? This bottle, mister? Nitro. It's nitro, and I can throw it even with a slug in me, and you're dead.
If I can hit that bottle from here.
Now, back up. Drop the gun.
You try throwing that bottle of nitro, Danny.
Yeah, that's you.
Set it down now, gently. Set it down.
No, I'm throwing it now.
Things, but never before quite believed them possible. But so help me, when I picked myself up on the edge of the wreckage of that cottage, most of my clothes were blown completely off. And yet by some miracle, I suffered no more than a couple of bruises and a slight headache. As for Danny, well, let's not go into that. He's paid for all his crimes. Expense account total, $349.40. And don't forget my commission, in spite of the fact that a lot of bits and pieces of that money had to be pasted back together. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is written by Jack Johnstone, produced and directed by Fred Hendrickson. Johnny Dollar is played by Mandel Kramer. Also featured in our cast were Jackson Beck, Joseph Julian, Jack Grimes, Bob Maxwell, and Peter Fernandez. Music supervision by Ethel Huber. Sound patterns by Walter Otto.
And without a word that it was the final show, that was the end of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, September 30th, 1962, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, next hour on many of these stations, you'll hear the final episode of Suspense that followed yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But right now, an episode of the soap opera Claudia, going back to September 30th, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Hey, over there, Mrs. Norton.
You calling me, Mr. Paradiso?
I am indeed. I thought you might like to see the concrete being poured.
I'd love to.
Lots of things going on at once, aren't there?
Oh, it certainly are. Takes an awful lot of doing just to add on a new piece of barn, doesn't it?
We're coming along fine.
Yep.
Be through right on schedule, if not ahead of it.
If we are through ahead of schedule, we'll be setting a precedent in Eastbrook, won't we?
A precedent all over the United States, ma'am. Now, see those fans and sweeps and pipes over there just being delivered?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the latest kind of ventilating system.
David must be intending to buy a car with an awfully sensitive nose.
Well, a man's jersey can be a man's best friend.
I suppose a car can do a lot of things a person can't. Say, we haven't got any ventilating system in our house, have we?
Well, it's not imperative, but you could have one, except it's expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mama said the only person I'd have to be jealous of would be David's Jersey cow. Mama was right.
Mama is always right.
What about heat? Do we have to install heat?
Not in a barn.
Well, if a cow has to be ventilated, doesn't she have to be heated, too?
She heats herself.
Well, that's sweet of her. It's too bad, though, she can't heat herself enough so that the milk can come out all pasteurized. You think it could be arranged?
Well, I'll tell your cow about it.
When we get her.
Say, you know, with you supervising this job here instead of your husband, you're going to learn an awful lot about building. You'll cut me out of business.
Oh, no, thank you. When David gets out of the hospital, this job will be all yours and his. No architecting for me, no thank you.
Don't you like?
Well, it's David's work, it's not mine. So even if I did like, no thank you.
Quite a tactful little wife, aren't you?
I'm learning.
You've learned in the last 6 months. I've seen you, Mrs. Norton.
I've learned most in the last 6 days. A husband in a hospital with a concussion of the brain is a very delicate plant.
So, you're building a hothouse for him, huh?
He must only think we're building this barn.
You know, Mrs. Norton, you're starting to make me think I should have married.
You're missing something.
I never believed it before. Of course, I don't know if any women would ever consider me a delicate plant.
You just try getting into a car accident, you'll see. Look, Mr. Paradiso, they got one whole coil of pipe laid already.
Well, all the boys know that Mr. Norton is in the hospital. I told them we'd like to get the job done before he gets home.
It would be wonderful.
They'll do it. No decent men like to see a swell mister like David Norton cracked up in a car accident that wasn't his fault. Eastbrook's on his side. We'll have that barn ready.
You know, if this has to happen to David at all, I'm certainly glad it happened in Eastbrook. In New York, an accident is such a private affair.
Well, we like to pitch in. Maybe we figure it could have happened to any one of us. But Mr. Norton took the rap.
Well, anyway, thanks. Isn't it a beautiful fall day? The air's so clear.
Uh-huh. Your first fall up here, isn't it?
And I don't want to miss one day of it.
Wait, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till the end of October and November. The turning leaves of Connecticut, it's quite a sight.
You've lived here all your life, haven't you?
I still get a kick out of it. Hey, now watch how they pour that concrete.
Easy as cream out of a pitcher.
Claudia! Ahoy, Claudia!
Roger Killian, what are you doing up here in the wilds of Connecticut?
I came up to see my partner and his wife.
What a wonderful surprise. We can go over to the hospital together.
What on earth is happening to this barn?
We're building a new part. Mr. Paradiso, Mr. Killian, David's partner.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
I've met you, young man. You did the Norton's house, too.
That's right.
Good job. Well, Claudia, are you supervising this piece of construction?
I'm just doing the worrying.
It's the same thing.
We're just pouring the concrete for the flooring.
So I noticed. And you're getting to be quite the expert.
No, I wish I were. I almost wish I were the cow, too. Well, how about going down to the house,
Well, just as you say. Nice to have seen you, Mr. Paradiso. Keep up the good work.
We'll try, especially if it'll help Mr. Norton to his feet faster. Give him my regards, will you?
See you tomorrow.
Check. Hey, get moving with that lumber. I don't want to have to pay that truck overtime. Now get moving.
Very efficient fellow.
I don't know what I'd do without him. Everybody's been so nice up here. It makes you want to cry.
That's not the reason they're being nice.
I know.
Oh, the farm looks beautiful. It's just beginning to get dressed in autumn, isn't it?
Yup. Mr. Paradiso and I were just talking about it.
Why don't we go right over and see David?
You're not tired from your trip up?
Heavens, no. We'll see David now, and then we can go out to dinner. I'll take you and your mother to an excellent lobster place I know.
Roger, that's awfully sweet of you, but
But no buts about it. I'm David's partner, and that goes way beyond sharing an office and a business. At least it does with me.
It does with David, too.
Then that settles it. David, then the lobster. Now tell me how he is.
Well, so far, so good. No complications. The main trouble now is that he's so impatient. He resents terribly that he has to be laid up and dependent on other people. He doesn't seem to realize how serious a concussion can be. But he looks fine. Color in your cheeks, your eyes nice and clear, David. You really are starting to look like yourself.
Well, it's about time. I wish I were out of here. I don't see why Dr. Barry's making such a fuss about a mere cracked collarbone.
He knows what he's doing. And what's your dreadful hurry, David? Don't you trust me to run the business?
It's not that, and you know it.
No, I don't know it. From the way you act, it would seem that you'd expect our firm to founder if you don't get back there first thing in the morning.
Well, it just so happens, Mr. Roger Killian, that you full well know that I consider you one of the least capable architects in the business.
He's often told me so, yes.
Mm-hmm. An architect with absolutely no talent, no imagination, and no skill. That is the reason why I decided I'd rather work for and with you than with any other architectural firm in New York City.
Well, perhaps you're just prejudiced.
Perhaps I am. Say, how are things out in Chicago?
Excellent, excellent.
Good.
I was having a fine time with my boy. Jeffrey's thinking of going to the University of Chicago.
Oh, I thought Yale or Harvard.
That's right. He goes to Harvard in a week.
Oh.
But Chicago for medicine, after he graduates. We'd like Chicago, both of us.
You'd still be there, wouldn't you? If you hadn't had to come back because of me. Yes, I probably would still be there. But Jeffrey had to come east. College opens on Monday, and Chicago will still be there when I'm ready to go back. You're, well, I know it sounds stupid to say it, but you're a swell sport about it. Swell sport, nothing. I think you're making such a fuss about me because you don't ever expect me to behave well or be capable of rising to any situation or emergency. Now, you know perfectly good and well. Now, don't interrupt. I'm going to have my say. Claudia, you'd better sit down. My partner is liable to carry on for quite a while.
I've no place to go.
David, listen to me. And don't build a barrier to prevent what I'm going to say from reaching you. Promise? I'm listening. Good. Well, when I arrived at your house a little while ago, before coming here, Claudia was up at the barn with your Mr. Paradiso. That chap, by the way, seems to know his business. Oh, he did a good job on the house.
He has a soul.
He's a nice fellow. At any rate, as I was saying, Claudia was up at the barn with your Mr. Paradiso. I stood in the drive to your house for a moment and watched them. They were discussing something about the building that was going on.
It was the ventilating system. It sounds so wonderful, I'm half tempted to put the cow in our house and have me move into the barn.
Well, it can be arranged. Well, I could tell without hearing a word of what they were saying that both of them were getting a tremendous kick out of what they were doing. Really? Claudia, because watching the barn grow while you're laid up here in the hospital gives her a feeling that you're together, that she's helping make a dream of yours come true. This barn is one more link in the chain of your lives. You're not with her, but she's doing a second best, making it do nicely, with all her heart. Am I interpreting correctly, Claudia?
I wish I could have said it that way.
You don't have to, my dear. And then I watched Paradiso. No relative of yours, nobody. Nothing to you but a man who once did a job for you. Did it with pride and with respect for you. I like Paradiso. And he likes you, but that's all. At least that was all. But now he's doing something for you, supervising the building of your barn in your absence. He's making you a gift, and it's a greater pleasure than receiving. Now, giving is easier. There's no obligation involved. Precisely. Tough on you that you happen to be in a spot where, for a while, you must be the receiver. But, David, don't take the joy out of Claudia's and Paradiso's giving by resenting it. You rob them of their only pleasure in your absence. Now, don't think I haven't thought of what you're saying, Roger. I know everybody's been most unselfish. No. Not unselfish. Selfish. Their pleasure in giving to you. They know you don't enjoy receiving, and yet they give. I want to be selfish, too. Permit it. How? Well, if you remember some months ago, I was going to close up shop. Instead, I offered you a partnership. Well, your youth and your talents have served well. So well that I was going to take a back seat, draw in my money, enjoy the dividends of the years, and put the reins in your hands. And that's exactly why I feel like such a rotter about handing the reins back to you. Temporarily. I'm a tired man, David. But it's good to know that my days of giving aren't over. So don't begrudge me these few days. And don't be impatient. You'll rob me if you are. Well, I feel as if I owed everybody an apology. Oh, don't be ridiculous.
We're the ones doing the imposing, David, not you.
Good heavens. I've been talking a long time. Claudia, we've got to pick up your mother and get going on that lobster dinner. Hey, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Stop right there. Lobster dinner, did you say?
Lobster dinner, he said.
That's what I thought he said. Lobster dinner at the most wonderful little lobster place. I shouldn't dare eat it, but it's so deliciously prepared. Well, I must. I must. Well, don't force yourself, my man. This is the end.
What is the end, David?
Well, I don't mind being dispensable. I don't mind that at all. Now, Paradiso, for an example, building my barn. He's getting along fine without me. And take Roger here. Roger's running the business single-handed. And Claudia, my own little Claudia's being as executive as a adding machine or something. But for you to go out, you two and Mama, with me here, flat on my back, jailed up, in this hospital.
Sounds so pathetic.
Well, I resent, and I restate, I resent that deeply. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
But go on, skadoodle, and enjoy it. It's my gift to you, so we're even.
When you stop for lunch downtown, you probably order Coke just as the men and women around you do. How about having Coca-Cola with your lunch at home? It adds a refreshing touch to the most humdrum sandwich or to icebox leftovers of the kind that so many housewives content themselves with when the other members of the family aren't home. Try Coke with your noontime meal and lunch refresh.
Mr. King, may I interrupt you?
You certainly may, Mr. Killian.
Do you think it worked with David?
Perhaps temporarily, but you know I can't blame him for being impatient.
Of course not.
Still, I suppose that for the present, there's no point in telling him that he's still a very sick man.
Not so sick as could be sick. No, there's no point in telling him, because if all does go well, he'll be fine and out of here.
The days go slowly, but they do go. Tomorrow we'll bring David another visit to help while away the time.
His brother coming up?
No, his neighbor, old Jared Tucker. A very amusing gentleman who don't believe in hospitals.
Oh. That will be a help.
Well, we'll see anyway.
Oh, my, can't keep that lobster waiting. So, au revoir, Mr. King.
Au revoir, Mr. Killian. As I was about to say, every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir.
September 30th, 1948, Claudia on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder, next hour, the last episode of Suspense, the last program of the Golden Age of Radio. Please thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to keep bringing classic radio to you and to others on this radio station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. Our shows are available anytime on our webpage, classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting, build a library of your own. That's good. You can also download our shows through the sites we list there. You can also find our social media links, and you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee link allows us to help get additional classic radio collections from collectors so that we can continue growing our collection and bring more of the greatest radio shows of all time to you right here. Thanks for listening. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.